Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. Happy 2025. I actually expected this Tesla production and delivery numbers to come out tomorrow on January 3rd, but they came out today. So I'm going to do a quick episode on the numbers and kind of more importantly, what the takeaways are, what we might think about for 2025, etc. So let's just start with the numbers and then we can speculate a little bit on why the numbers are as they are and what that implies for 2025. So first of all, you can see here Q4 2024, we had production of 436,000 and change of Model 3s and Ys, deliveries of 471,930, so almost 472,000 deliveries. Other models, which includes the Cybertruck, unfortunately, that is not broken out. So we just have to sort of guess at things. But anyway, we have production of 22,727 and deliveries of 23,640. So again, for both of these, the good news is that the deliveries outpace the production because that means that Tesla is basically still selling every vehicle that they produce. So that's actually a positive. Anyway, so total production is 459,445 units and deliveries is 495,570. And then if we look at the entirety of 2024, you can see that we've got other models of 94,105 were produced and only delivered 85,133. That might have a lot to do with the Cybertruck at this point. So that is an interesting metric that we'll look at a little bit more in detail. As far as the Model 3 and Y are concerned, production of 1.679 million and deliveries of 1.704. So that is a good number because that means that, again, they delivered every vehicle that they produced, basically. And that produces a total of 1,773,443 produced and 1,789,226 delivered. So again, they actually outstripped production with deliveries. So that is overall a good number. Now, of course, what we really want to do is look at 2023 to compare. So 2023, let's look at the other models very quickly. We had a production of 18,212, deliveries of 22,969. So way more deliveries than there were production. Remember, this was just the start of the Cybertruck. So this actually does provide an interesting data point because the first few Cybertrucks were rolling off the line. So we'll look at those two in comparison. But first, let's look at total production, which was 494,989 with deliveries of 484,507. So you can see they actually produced more than they delivered last year. So again, keep that in mind relative to Q4 of 2024. And then the total for all of 2023 was production of 1,845,985 vehicles with deliveries of 1,808,581 vehicles delivered. So you can see that there was a substantial gap between production and deliveries. Now, there were some interesting issues in terms of the Suez Canal and getting vehicles from place to place last year. So that probably explains some of this gap. But as you can see quite clearly here, they also produced 1.845 million and delivered 1.808. Whereas if we look at 2024, it's 1.773 and 1.789. And so now finally, let's take a look at these two things compared to each other. You can see that in Q4, let's just take a look at the deliveries. We had total deliveries of 495,570 in 2024, as you can see up here. And in 2023, we had 484,507. So this is a good beat on deliveries, but if you look at production, production was actually down. It's 459,000 and change versus almost 495,000 vehicles produced in Q4 of 2023. So there is a reduction in production, which means that Tesla is actually producing fewer vehicles in 2024, Q4 of 2024, than they did in Q4 of 2023. As for the entire year, of course, it's actually negative for both metrics. In terms of production in 2024, we have 1.773 million, where there was 1.845 million. So Tesla produced about 70,000 more vehicles last year than they did this year. And in terms of delivery, we also see that they actually delivered just over 1.8 million, whereas this year it's actually 1.789 million. So for year over year, Tesla is actually negative. Even though Tesla delivered more vehicles in Q4 2024, they actually produced fewer vehicles in Q4 of 2024 than they did in 2023. And also for the entire year, they were actually negative in both production and delivery. So of course, that's rather significant because Tesla has never actually gone down year over year since I can remember. I don't know. I'd have to think back about this. Maybe there is an exception to that, but I don't believe it is. It's basically been a really significant exponential trend upward. This year, of course, year over year completely violates that and actually goes down some. It's the new year, and with that comes lots of New Year's resolutions that we all know we won't keep. But 2 years ago, I made a resolution to drink AG1 every day, and it's been a game changer for me. AG1 is the best New Year's resolution I ever made. Whether I'm busy at home or traveling, I know I can count on AG1 to help me be at my best, both physically and mentally. And it's so easy. They deliver each 30-day supply right to my door, and I drink it every morning. Between cutting out processed sugar and drinking AG1 daily, I can honestly say I feel years younger. I've lost weight, my joints don't ache, and I have so much more energy than I did before. AG1 is designed to replace multiple supplements by covering nutritional gaps with a comprehensive blend of nutrients. AG1 is a science-driven formulation with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens. And the probiotics and prebiotics help my digestive system stay regular no matter what I throw at it. And you know what? AG1 is constantly being improved. They've gone through 52 versions to make it better and better. I really enjoy savoring AG1 since it's sweet without any added sugar. It tastes great, it's super easy to integrate into my daily habits, and I've really noticed how much AG1 has helped me reach my fitness and life goals. It's one daily routine I won't change. So go to drinkag1.com/Dr. Know-It-All or scan the QR code to save $20 off your first subscription. Thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to click my link to get started today, and now let's get back to it. So with these metrics in mind, let's take a look at, first of all, why this might be happening, and second of all, what this means for 2025, 2026, 2027, etc. So first of all, of course, the economic headwinds have continued to be fairly substantial, although they have calmed down in 2024, specifically towards the end of the year with the Fed cutting interest rates and everything, which could, of course, provide for Q4 numbers because, of course, that's October, November, December, when interest rates had started to slide, which means that vehicles are less expensive to purchase. Effectively, of course, if you're paying in cash, then obviously you don't care about interest rates, but most people finance their vehicles, including us, and so getting that lower finance rate is actually a big deal and allows more people to afford cars. So clearly that would impact deliveries in 2024, explaining why that number might be up year over year. What's more interesting to me is the fact that the production number has fallen by about 35,000 units between quarter four of 2023 and quarter four of 2024. That is a significant drop, but that means that Tesla actually dialed back their production both in quarter four and in all of 2024, anticipating the fact that they're not going to be delivering as many vehicles as they had previously. So that is a very big deal. That means that Tesla kind of knew this was coming. They didn't overproduce. They didn't produce like 550,000 vehicles and only deliver 495. They only produced 459,000 and then, of course, 1.773 million for the year because I contend, and I think it's fairly obvious, they could see what was coming. They could see they weren't going to deliver as many vehicles. You can also tell that Tesla put a lot of sales on. They did free supercharging. They did 0% interest for the Model Y for a period of time, which was a very good deal. If you picked one up, then that's great to get 0% interest. And that, of course, is in the United States. They also did things in Europe and in China as well. So you could see how Tesla was pulling on the levers to try to get delivery numbers up. But they also knew that basically things were going to be flat in 2024. So they produced fewer vehicles so that they wouldn't have a giant backlog of inventory. And of course, as I said previously, part of this is economic. When you have high interest rates, the vehicle is effectively more money, and so people can't afford it, and so therefore, you have to adjust for that. But I would also say there is a high likelihood that Elon Musk, mid-year getting involved in politics in a very, very big way, probably had a significant impact, particularly in quarter three of 2024, but also in quarter four. I think it's important to note, however, that in the quarter four of 2024, which is when politics was at the lead in terms of the United States, at least, they actually delivered 495,000 and change, whereas last year, quarter four of 2023, which of course would be a quiet year in terms of US politics and everything, they delivered 484,000 and change. So they actually delivered more vehicles this year. Now, of course, we're talking about a global delivery thing. We don't have a breakout for the United States at this point, but of course, I would love to know how the deliveries worked for the United States in particular, because I'd like to know whether they actually delivered more vehicles this year than they did last year in the United States in quarter four. 2024, because of course that's when politics really came to a head. In terms of Elon Musk's support for a particular presidential candidate, everyone knows who that is, of course. I won't mention it in the interest of the YouTube algorithm, but everybody knows what I'm talking about here. So anyway, this is a very interesting thing that it had an effect, but maybe not as big of an effect as I would have expected. But we'll have to wait for US numbers to get broken out in particular for us to have a better understanding of how that affected sales in the United States in Q4 of 2024. And now let's turn to some real speculation land, which is what does this imply for 2025? So again, this is my speculation, and please do your own research. Do not do any investment based on what I'm talking about here, because this is just me thinking off the top of my head. But basically, I'm going to guess that Tesla is going to produce more like 1.9 million vehicles in 2025. They will ramp production because they saw at the end of 2024 a significant bump in the number of vehicles that they delivered, and this will provide them the insight, the data points that they need to project that they might be able to produce as much as 1.9 million vehicles next year and sell them. Of course, if they want to sell that many, they'll likely have to pull some more levers, like they'll have to reduce prices on the vehicles, probably provide 0% interest or very low interest rates or something below market interest rates to interest consumers in all of this stuff. But Tesla probably will produce more vehicles than they did in 2023 in 2025, given the trend, the direction of the trend in late 2024. So that would be my guess, is they'll produce a few more. Now, of course, Tesla has become very focused on their full self-driving and the Cybercab. We should probably see the first Cybercab rides in 2025, but I don't think that they will have a meaningful impact on production and delivery. Although what does a delivery mean if Tesla owns the Cybercab, but they're using it? They may have to break this out into production, deliveries, and fleet or something, or maybe they can consider their fleet a delivery. So if they deliver 1,000 Cybercabs to their own fleet, they could count that as deliveries in 2025. Not exactly sure how they'll do that, but we will find out in 2025, of course. But the high likelihood is that we will see Cybercabs on the road collecting, a few fares again, or maybe it'll be free just for beta testers or something like that. But anyway, we will see them on the road before the end of 2025, but it's really going to be 2026 when we'll see numbers that are significant enough that it will impact what we're seeing in these Q4 and 2025 production and delivery numbers overall. So I don't expect that to have a meaningful impact. What we're going to see next year is Cybertrucks, Model S, Model X, Model 3, Model Y, all of those things, the sexy lineup plus the Cybertruck. And speaking of that, let's take a look quickly at Q4 2023 versus Q4 of 2024. You can see that in 2023, there were 18,000 and change other models. So that was S and X at the point, and a few Cybertrucks at that point that were in that mix. This year, it's 22,727. Probably there's some cannibalism, especially from the Model X towards the Cybertruck. So we're probably not getting a completely accurate metric here. But if there's only a 4,000 unit increase in sales of other models between Q4 of 2023 and Q4 of 2024, that's not a lot of Cybertrucks being sold. We can likely expect the Model S to be relatively consistent in sales. It's kind of independent of the, truck SUV sort of category. So I expect that to be relatively consistent. The Model X may have gone down by a couple of thousand units. So maybe the Cybertruck sold 5,000 or 6,000 units in Q4 of 2024, which is not terrible, but it's not really moving the needle like I have a feeling Tesla was hoping. Now, of course, in terms of deliveries, there are more deliveries than there were production. So Tesla might still be production constrained by the Cybertruck, but there is also some indications out there that the Cybertruck is not selling quite as well as Tesla was hoping. We're seeing things like free supercharging for life for people who buy the Foundation series. Now, by the way, I will raise my hand and say I bought a Foundation series before that was true. I think that Tesla should retroactively grant that to all Foundation series purchasers. That's kind of uncool that they're trying to sell off the remaining inventory of Foundation series with that carrot, where all of us more loyal customers who purchased it first without that are not getting that benefit. Will Tesla do that? I don't know, but I think that they should. I think that would be the right thing to do. But more importantly, we're really not seeing a big needle mover. If we saw like 10 or 15,000 more units produced and delivered in Q4 of 2024 than Q4 of 2023, then I'd be like, wow, the Cybertruck is a really good seller. It's doing very, very well. But I think there are definite indications here that the Cybertruck is not selling as well as Tesla might hope, and as well as the 2 million pre-orders might have indicated. Again, unfortunately, as Tesla doesn't break out the Cybertruck, we're not going to know that specifically, but we can sort of take a guess by looking at last year versus this year when there wasn't basically any Cybertrucks being sold to a production ramp of Cybertrucks being sold at this point. More generally, overall in 2025, what's going to happen? I predict that Tesla will sell more vehicles than they did this year and more vehicles than they did in 2023, but it won't be significant. We could be looking at between 50 and 100,000 more than we saw in 2023. So I doubt that we'll actually see 2 million vehicles produced or sold in 2025, which is a little unfortunate. That's put Tesla on kind of a flat path instead of a growth path. What that will do to Tesla stock, as expected, given this news, Tesla is down almost 6%, 5.94%. So a significant hit based on these very, very flat numbers. I think that Tesla stock will take quite a long time to recover. Again, this is just my speculation. I doubt that we will see the prices. What was it? 460 was like the top price. I doubt we'll see that again in the first half of 2025. That's just my guess, because I think that production numbers are going to be relatively flat and people are going to analyze this data and they're going to look through and say like, hey, Cybertrucks are not selling like they expected. We're also seeing negative production and deliveries for 2024 versus 2023. So I think that that story is going to be hard for Tesla to overcome as a growth stock because they're not really growing. So my prediction is that 2025 is going to be another relatively flat year for Tesla, with the caveat that probably the Model Y Juniper is going to be coming out in, let's say by March or something. If and when that happens, given the fact that that was such a high selling car over the past several years, best selling car in 2023, we'll have to see about 2024, that could really boost sales and actually get Tesla back up into the 1.9 million plus range. So we could be looking at some growth in 2025, but it's going to take a couple of quarters for that story to play out. So I think that Tesla stock is going to be very negative to flat for a period of time. Of course, again, that is just my speculation, but that's what I see in the future. I think that 2025 is going to be kind of a boring year for Tesla. We will at the end of the year see Cybercabs come out and hopefully have commercial rides, which will of course make us Tesla enthusiasts and geeks very, very excited. But until that point, I think that full self-driving 13 and then 14 is going to continue to make the vehicles, particularly those with hardware 4, better and better, to the point where basically we really don't have to pay attention to the vehicles anymore. We're really, really close to that point anyway. But the problem is that the general public won't know about this, and so it's not going to really affect Tesla stock. It's not until the Cybercab comes out at the end of the year and people start taking driverless vehicle rides in the Cybercab that things are really going to start to change. So I think that Tesla will produce a few more vehicles in 2025 than they did in 2023 or 2024. But I worry about the Cybertruck, the fact that the numbers haven't gone up significantly for the other categories. So Cybertruck might end up being a kind of a flop or something, or at least a very low seller. But Tesla was able to prove out a lot of technology they need for the Cybercab. And of course, towards the end of 2025, I think we'll have a very significant bump in terms of Tesla's visibility because of the Cybercab, even though there won't be a lot of production, and so it won't really affect these numbers very much in 2025. It will create a lot of interest and generate a lot of mind share for Tesla towards the end of the year, but we're going to have to wait 2 to 3 quarters before that starts to happen. Alrighty, folks, so that's what I've got. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about all of this stuff. Am I right? Am I wrong? Did I forget something? Definitely let me know. While you're down there, if you don't mind liking and especially subscribing, my birthday, my 60th birthday is January 29th. I would love to make 100,000 subscribers by then, and you can help by simply clicking the subscribe button. And finally, a big thanks once again to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to click my link in the description or scan the QR code to get $20 off your first subscription and start your 2025 out in the right direction. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.